environmental contracts and natural gas. Nodal high level was founded in mid-2007 timeframe, and the idea behind our founding was that we wanted to offer granular power futures locations. And the reason behind our founding was that
the moment that you talk about a real-time future, what that actually means, how does it settle and against what?
So the real-time price is the current day price, and because we'd only offered monthly contracts in the past, what we would do is at the end of the month, when the month is traded, we would look at all the real-time prices for that specific day across the whole month and average it out, and that would be the settlement price that we would have for our contract towards the end of the month.
The power futures is your main offering. You do also offer the gas futures. What do you see from European participants that want to go to the US and trade gas?
On our side, you can think of us at the moment on the gas side as the third biggest exchange with regards to offering a gas contract.
Now when we look at the long-term products, let's say monthly, quarterly, yearly, is there any physical aspect of it, or is all just purely financial?
At Nodal right now, it's all financial. We don't offer anything on the physical side. I think as we look to the future, physical is something that we have definitely spoke about, but at the moment.
Hi all, and welcome to Time to Talk. Today we have a new guest on board, Jathan Malik. Welcome, Jathan.
Yeah, thank you so much, Paul, for having me on the podcast. Great to be here.
Yeah, we are happy to have you. So let's talk about energy. Who are you, Jathan? Where are you working?
Yeah. So my name's Jathan Malik, and I guess funny point to begin, it is Jason with a lisp or Nathan with a J. I feel like I've never met another Jathan before, so I feel like I have to say that. But yeah, I'm from London originally, living in the United States right now, and working for a company called Nodal Exchange. So Nodal Exchange is a derivatives exchange based in the United States, covering the energy markets. This is my second stint, funnily enough, at Nodal. So I worked at Nodal in 2019, moved back to London and worked for a company I'm sure a lot of your listeners are familiar with called Trayport in Europe, and then rejoined Nodal in 2022. And to give just a little bit of background on the team that I'm in as well. So I'm on the energy markets team. What we do on our team is we cover the client-facing side, so new onboardings, client management going forward, work on understanding what's trading in the market, seeing if we can launch new products, and ultimately working on some of the product functionality enhancements and improving our technological offerings for our clients.
Thank you, Jathan. And you're also now US-based?
Yes, I'm US based. I'm actually up in Boston, and we've just had a winter storm come through, and it's pretty cold. I guess it's nearly as cold as where you are as well, Paul.
Yeah, I don't know who's winning, but yes, it is cold for sure. And gas prices have gone absolutely crazy, of course, over the last 2 weeks in the US.
Exactly right. Yeah, they seem to have settled down at least a little bit, but yeah, a week or so ago they were sky high. Absolutely.
And do you, as sort of client-facing members, not directly trading the markets, get a lot of energy information, heads up on what's going on there in the market, or it doesn't really affect you as such when the prices go crazy?
On our side with our clients, or with
specifically for you.
Yeah, for the exchange, no, for us, obviously, from a pricing standpoint, even pricing some of the power side of things as well. For us, there's a lot of, obviously, depending on how the gas moves, with the gas being, the prominent sort of feedstock with regards to generating electricity in the US. Yes, as soon as the gas price rises, typically the power prices rises. And just to add as well, we do offer natural gas contracts. So we do have a Henry Hub contract as well, which obviously spiked in the last couple of weeks.
Thank you. And what was for you the driver to land in the US? You said you're from the UK, now based in Boston. What, why, how?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So on my end, funny, although I love the energy markets, I also am a very big tennis fan. So I play the sport of tennis, and I played actually semi-professionally before I went to university, but ended up getting a scholarship in the United States to play tennis at the University of Michigan. So that's the reason that brought me to the US originally. And then, moved back to London for a couple of years during the COVID time, and luckily had the opportunity to move back and rejoin Nodal in 2022. So that's my movements in the background.
Amazing. So some personal passions has driven you basically to the US.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Good. So let's talk about Nodal. You have, of course, many different products that you offer. Most people know you, of course, for your power or your electricity offerings. You mentioned as well you have a Henry Hub future. Can you just walk us through shortly on what do you stand for? What is your strongest offering? Why are people mostly joining your market? Can you walk us through, Jathan?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to give a high level overview of Nodal, so we are a derivatives exchange and a clearinghouse in Nodal Clear. We are part of the European Energy Exchange Group. So EEX Group acquired Nodal in 2017. And ultimately, you can think of us as the North American arm to their operations. So what we do is we provide price, credit, and liquidity risk management services, as well as financial technology and a marketplace to anyone that's trading in the North American energy markets. We have three main asset classes that we focus on, and we offer futures and options contracts for all three of them. The first being power, which I know we'll talk a little bit more about in this podcast. The others being environmental contracts and natural gas. I'll jump into the power in a little bit more detail now. So Nodal High Level was founded in mid-2007 timeframe. And the idea behind our founding was that we wanted to offer granular power futures locations, hence the name Nodal Exchange. We offer nodes, zones, and hubs across the US deregulated ISOs. And the reason behind our founding was that there were utilities and independent power producers that wanted to get a more precise hedge for where their asset was located. So instead of sort of hedging at the hub level, they'd obviously have the opportunity to hedge at the node or zone level, which was more reflective of the price of the generation in that area. And so now over time, we started within PJM. Over time, we've expanded across all the 70 regulated ISOs in the US, and we offer more than 1,000 locations or contracts on the power side. So we have the largest suite of power futures contracts globally of any exchange. And just to sort of dive in a little bit deeper, we offer three main types of power contracts. We have a day-ahead energy, a real-time energy, and a day-ahead plus congestion contract, which is like a financial transmission right contract. And in the past, we'd only really offered monthly contracts, so front month plus 10 years along the curve, depending on the product. But recently, actually in the last week or so, we've launched our power dailies offering, so short-term power contracts. So current day, next day, balance of week, balance of month. We launched 46 dailies contracts, and they go very well with a new screen that we launched towards sort of halfway through last year, July last year, called Nodal Access for our clients. So that's our power offering right there. And to touch very briefly on environmentals and gas very quickly as well. Environmentals we launched in 2018 with our partner 𝐜𝐴Z𝐧𝐭𝐬. So 𝐜𝐴Z𝐧𝐭𝐬, you can think of them as our business development arm with regards to our environmental contracts. They also work with EEX in Europe and launched the EUA and UKA contracts over there. And we have, similarly to Power, the largest suite of environmental contracts. So we offer compliance credits, emissions, offsets, renewable energy certifications, and renewable fuels. And finally, just to touch on natural gas, obviously it's a very big market in the US. We definitely have a much smaller market share than our competitors, but we launched natural gas in 2019, and we have Henry Hub futures and options contracts on the gas side.
Thank you for walking us through there. And just to take one step back, we do a lot of work in Europe here, also in the US, but Europe, we're based in Europe. Europe is a large market. Europe is a different market. You mentioned US, of course, nodal pricing, many different price points, while in the European markets, we have, of course, generally speaking, more the country pricing. And one thing which is very different is where in the European markets you need your physical exposure, of course, you need to be a BRP, you need to be exchange registered, and trading happens, for example, on EPEX to stay within the EEX Group. However, on the US markets, you have your ISO trading, and many participants are ISO registered without any exchange registration. That makes it rather unique. Can you then explain how your whole nodal offering can add value or is a substitute from having only an ISO registration?
Yeah, so obviously, on the ISOs, you can only typically trade the shorter term market. So it's current day and next day. Obviously, on the exchange, we have the ability to be able to hedge further into the future. And for us, typically on Nodal, we do have, and one of the points you made earlier was which contracts may be the most liquid. As you said, we offer thousands of contracts, as I mentioned earlier, but in Europe, you have the German baseload contract. For us, PJM West Hub real time is probably the most liquid benchmark contract that we have here, with a lot of outright trading. A lot of that is typically traded on the screen. Again, it's traded through the ISOs, but ultimately within the futures market on the exchanges, that is definitely the most liquid contract. And for us, the basis contract, so trading and buying a hub, selling a node, things along those lines is typically where we are very, very strong. Again, looking to the forwards and futures side of things, we have 95% of that market on the PJM side as of December's volumes.
And on all the products that you offer, then, and when we look at the long-term products, let's say monthly, quarterly, yearly, is there any physical aspect of it, or is all just purely financial?
Yeah, at Nodal right now, it's all financial. We don't offer anything on the physical side. I think as we look to the future, physical is something that we have definitely spoke about, but at the moment, just the financial settled side of things.
And you mentioned that the PGM website hub is the most liquid one. Is there then still, if you look at the specific granularity, a product that is really most liquid? Is everyone trading the month ahead? Is everyone trading the year ahead? How does it look?
Yeah, it's typically, for us, seeing as we've only just launched the dailies contracts, I can't quite talk on those just yet, but you're right, it's prompt month, calendar year, front calendar year. You've got winter and summer strips as well that are typically traded most likely. We have seen some trading out 3+ years on that specific product as well. But yeah, it's typically sort of within the sort of calendar year timeframe.
And when you look at the people who are joining Nodal or are active on Nodal, since everything is purely financial, it can be, of course, for many participants, a great tool to indeed hedge their physical activity. But at the same time, there's good opportunity for speculators to jump into these markets and have purely speculative trades for driving the P&L. Can you say something about your whole client pool? When you look at all the parties who are active or who are actively trading in higher volumes, who are really the hedgers? Who are the speculators? Are there any other people out there? How does it feel being on your side?
Yeah, it's nice to see because I guess we get to see everyone in the market, so that's a very good thing. But yeah, I would say at the moment, we have around 250 active trading clients, so trading participants on the exchange. So we have the commercial hedges, which are the utilities, the independent power producers, the generators, and then we do have a lot of the speculators, the paper traders, so the banks, hedge funds, prop shops. And I think, more recently than not, we've seen, I would say electricity or power has become more of a buzzword, especially with data centers and AI recently. So a lot of the prop trading shops and trading houses that maybe were in different commodities or not even in the commodities industry are trying to get involved in it, and particularly within power, because obviously there is significant price volatility. That price volatility equals a lot of opportunity for the speculator side of things. So we've definitely seen them. And I would say just the other new sort of entry that we've seen to the market in the last few years is we've seen definitely a shift of European players actually wanting to get involved in the US market. So they've obviously done very well in Europe, have their strategies, their sort of knowledge and skill set in place. As you mentioned earlier, it is definitely a little bit of a different beast in the US with the granular pricing and things like that. But we have seen an influx in the last few years of European entities coming and joining the US markets. And the one final point to mention is I think as we look to the future, it'll be interesting to see, but I have a feeling that maybe some of the big tech companies out there that have these PPA deals in place with utilities and power producers, they may want to get involved in the financially settled power markets as well.
And I think that is a trend that is happening as we speak. And we at
Yes.
Time to Market see similar moves as well, indeed, that different players are entering and want to have the exposure. Jathan, we met, of course, I think late last year at the Nodal event in Washington, where some super interesting talks there from Yes Energy about the US market, how it is growing, how there's an incredible amount of data centers and AI centers, crypto centers being planned, being built, talking in total hundreds of gigawatts. These players come to the market, they need to trade, get physical power, but also hedge their exposures. Is this already a wave of entrances or participants that you see joining Nodal, or is it too early to say? What are your expectations on this massive influx?
Yeah, we haven't seen a significant amount of clients in that capacity signing up just yet, but I think it's very imminent. Let's put it that way. I mean, we've seen obviously in the news the big deals that have been going in play, and again, some of the big deals are with some of our clients in some capacity as well from the utilities standpoint. But yeah, on the tech side, it would be interesting to see. I do believe that they will join, but yeah, not quite there yet. But as you mentioned, from a physically settled exchange standpoint for hedging into the future, it's absolutely a place that I think they will be participating in sooner than not.
Yeah. So you are getting ready for them to onboard.
I hope so. Exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah. A bit of a more technical element, but just to raise the clarity. When people trade, let's say EEX Power Futures, the German base load in Europe, you are registered with EEX. You are either or you are also registered as an NCM towards the clearing members of ECC, the European Commodity Clearing. Is the setup exactly the same for you when people want to onboard with you?
Yeah, so you need to be an ECP, and I'm forgetting the exact name for the ECPs, but ultimately, yes, you do have to be. I think it's an eligible contract participant, I believe is what it is. But from our standpoint, we have two main ways of joining the exchange. So one is a direct trading participant of the exchange, where you have legal agreements in place with the exchange. And in both ways, the second way is actually a customer in which you're leveraging the clearing member's relationship with the exchange and you have an intermediated access. It's just a market data agreement that needs to be signed. But both of those two routes do need a clearing member relationship in order to be able to participate and trade on the exchange. But unlike that of Europe, I know on EEX you have to have some form of trading licenses and things like that as well. You know, on the US side to be a trader, so long as you're registered within our platform, so long as your entity is signed up with the exchange properly, you have the ability to go in and trade straight off the bat.
And then the clearing members that are facilitating your trading are the general ECC clearing members.
We have our own list. I don't think it's as expansive as the list that ECC have. Our list is actually posted on our website, but we do have 18 clearing members that support our markets. And in some ways, you know, some of the trading participants either have one clearing member, some of them have multiple clearing members, sort of depending on their needs. And, you know, the clearing members typically allow access to all of our markets, but, you know, there may be some nuances to that depending on the client and depending on obviously the conversations that the clearing member has with them.
Can we make a jump back to your new product offering, where you mentioned that you basically offer now also the daily futures? To what type of granularity do you go? You mentioned the day ahead, the real time. Can you do hourly? Can you do daily? What can you do or can you not do on Nodal compared to a standard ISO setup for virtual trading?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have the day ahead and real-time markets. The day ahead would be next day and sort of potential all the way up to balance of month. On the real-time side of things, obviously that would include current day really as well. But you're right. So the granularity right now is just daily. So it is daily, and then obviously we have the sort of as I said, next week, balance of month. From a product standpoint, you know, this has been something that we've been interested in launching for quite a long time. I think we initially wanted to launch a few years back. For whatever reason, we saw some of the shorter term or the cash markets sort of volume decreasing. But in the last couple of years, we've seen that increasing again. So it's given us a reason to sort of put this back on the forefront of our minds. And then going in conjunction with the new screen that we launched, Nodal Access, and we do have vendors as well, CQG, Trayport, and TT that offer screen trading for our clients. Ultimately, the two go hand in hand together. You know, the dailies market's typically traded 100% on screen. So the fact that we now have, you know, really good, strong screen offerings as of summer last year, the two went together. When it comes to even shorter term than that, you know, we haven't quite launched hourlies contracts yet, but we are interested in looking at potentially launching financially settled hourly contracts in the near future. So we'll have to keep an eye out and see how that goes. But, you know, for us, it sort of makes sense as a potential offering that, you know, a lot of utilities and battery storage owners particularly would be interested in looking at for sure.
So you have now the daily offering, and just to make the jump, we do quite a lot of US setups where the participants want to do the virtual trading on the ISO level, getting exposure towards hourly nodal trading, buying the spreads, selling the spreads, time spreads, location spreads. That's something that has your interest from nodal perspective, but you don't have the development yet. But you do offer baseload future contracts that you could use as a hedge if you take mostly baseload positions on all 24 hours. Is that correctly said?
Yeah, so we've now got the sort of the current day or the 24-hour products or next day. Yes, that's correct. But I think, yeah, you know, as you say, it sounds like there are interest from people that are signing up with you with regards to the ISOs and the virtual side to have something that's more granular. And we, you know, we do see competitors out there that are looking at the hourlies markets as well. And so that's definitely something to sort of enhance our offering further for our clients. That's definitely something that we'd like to do is have that more granularity out there for sure. You're correct in what you're saying.
One thing that I'm wondering, and I know with my background as a trader, the trade screen can be pretty a clean place for yourself as a trader, but it looks for chaos and just anarchy for other people looking at your screen. How are you able to make your exchange a place that people still get the overview? I mean, the products that you're talking from day ahead, weekend towards month, quarter, year, you offer nodal, you offer zonal. You do that on a nodal level, and in total, there's over 15,000 nodes. The amount of products that you offer must be insane. And how do people find their way? And is there any liquidity at all in the majority of these products?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's a fantastic question. I think it's from my side, I've been working very closely on the screen development from my experience at Trayport and obviously pushing our new nodal access screen as well. I think the key thing there really has been, you're completely right in saying there are so many different tenors, so many different products, so many different combinations of products that would be plastered all across the screen. And so from our standpoint, we really focused on different technological settings within the screen. So obviously the ability for users to go and define the strategies that they want. That was one of the key things for us. We wanted users to be able to go in and be able to create trade structures on the fly, whether that's 1 year, across 3 years, two different products spread against each other, the ability to do that and add orders on screen. And then from there, we've obviously got a lot of different widgets that allow, live only modes, obviously the ability within watch list to granularly choose, okay, I only want to see these type of products and have multiple different watch lists where we can plaster it across different screens. It's definitely been a task, as you can imagine. I think for us, the other point that you mentioned, a lot of the liquidity does lie in a subset of smaller products. We don't have that much liquidity in all the nodes, all the zones across all the products that we do offer. So if for instance, if you do toggle to the live only mode, or if you're looking at, last traded prices, typically for, the current day or things along those lines, it sort of does filter it down significantly to what has been active, what has been trading in the market. And obviously we do have other features within the screen, such as open interest. So you can see, okay, has there been any open interest in this product, or is there no open interest and it's not been traded in a while?
And I just take one step back here to for those who are not fully familiar with all the terminology. In the European markets, we have, of course, day ahead, intraday, and imbalance. And the equivalent in the US would be day ahead, no intraday at all. And the real-time market that you said is basically the European imbalance market. The moment that you talk about a real-time future, can you just slowly walk through what that actually means? How does it settle and against what?
Yeah, absolutely. So the real-time price is the current day price. And because we'd only offered monthly contracts in the past, what we would do is at the end of the month, when the month is traded, we would look at all the real-time prices for that specific day across the whole month and average it out. And that would be the settlement price that we would have for our contract towards the end of the month.
Clear. So then the product is basically a day ahead price versus imbalance settlement price on a rolling basis over the whole month. So you literally trade the spread day ahead to imbalance, or on US terminology, day ahead real-time spread.
Exactly. We do see a lot of day ahead real-time dart spreads, I guess you could say, looking into the future. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that is, of course, super interesting because the registrations that we do are on the nodal level, on the hourly level, but then your platform allows you to basically hedge your full daily, weekly, or monthly exposure that you plan to have on these nodes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thank you. Just back to your previous comment, you mentioned that CME is one of your large competitors. Can you just explain us how are you competing most? Where are you weaker? Where are you stronger? Do they bring you any inspiration of product developments that you want to pursue?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, CME are definitely our biggest competitor on the natural gas side of things. They have the bulk of the Henry Hub market in the US, and Intercontinental Exchange, ICE, are our biggest competitor or only real competitor on the exchange traded power contracts in the US. They are both very big organizations. As you can imagine, there's a lot of employees there. For us, I think we can differentiate ourselves in many ways. Obviously, the fact that we are smaller, we can be a little bit nimble and quicker with getting some products to market here and there. In the past, we've had requests come in from clients to offer, even though we do have 1,000 or more contracts that we offer on the power side, people do want an additional node that may not have been launched. We can typically launch that new product within a couple of weeks, pending a couple of items in the background. But there are key differentiators that we have compared to the competitors. So one is obviously the largest suite of contracts that we have. So if someone is looking to trade a specific contract, there's only really one place that you can trade that if it's more of a granular contract like we have. Um, the other thing from that is not only do we have the contracts out there, but we do have a lot of great settlement prices in all the power contracts with forward curves that we've been doing for many, many years now. We've got a lot of historical LMPs. We've been doing this for a long time. And there's some data out there that you just can't get on our competitors that you can get with us. So that's definitely another unique point. And I'd say that the sort of biggest unique selling point that we have is we use a different type of margin methodology to that of our competitors. So we use an expected shortfall VAR methodology that looks at a client's positions at the portfolio level. So instead of looking at positions and sort of adding them up one by one, and this is what the initial margin or the collateral requirement will be, we'll see if there are any correlations between the positions in your portfolio. So that's whether you're trading within one asset class, across different asset classes, different tenors. There are typically significant correlations in a diversified portfolio. And so in order to trade the same positions with us in comparison to our competitors, more often than not, you post a significantly reduced amount of initial margin, freeing up capital for obviously the trading participants in many other ways, and they can use that money.
That is music to anyone's ear who want to optimize their cash at the exchange.
Exactly right. Yeah. And the final thing I wanted to say is I'd like to also think that, the customer service side of things from our point of view, we are a more intimate, smaller group as well. So whenever we do get clients coming in with questions and things, we like to try and be as quick as we possibly can with getting back with feedback and trying to improve our offerings.
I know that the power futures is your main offering. You do also offer the gas futures. What do you see from European participants that want to go to the US and trade gas? Are there many out there? Because Denmark specifically, of course, known as European Silicon Valley of power trading. That's typically where all the shops start, where they have their first successes. And we don't see as many directly entering the US gas markets. How do you see that?
Yeah, we've not, we on our side, you can think of us at the moment on the gas side as I guess the third biggest exchange with regards to offering a gas contract. We technically, we've not seen too much uptake in the European players coming in and trading natural gas with us just yet. But hopefully, on our side, we only offer Henry Hub contracts right now. Fingers crossed, we look to offer some potentially other gas contracts in the near future, and maybe this sort of brings in some new players that want to trade not just Henry Hub, but other contracts that might be of use from a trading standpoint.
But trading Henry Hub is a good place to start, I would say, if you want to touch your toes in the water on the US gas market.
Absolutely right. Yeah. And for us, that's why we decided to launch that product at the beginning. It's obviously been, CME and ICE have been around, particularly CME, for a very long time. They have a lot of the liquidity. So for on our side, it really is just finding ways that we can maybe add better technical offerings and other ways to try and entice some clients to move liquidity over to us. And that's exactly what we're trying to do on a day-to-day basis.
I would like to thank you very much for today, Jathan. I think it was a good short deep dive in who is Nodal and who is Jathan? Is there anything else you would like to share with us?
With regards to onboarding new clients and sort of getting on the exchange, you were talking about the different European jurisdictions and who can get on board. I think what I've seen in the new prop shops, new European entities getting on board, the two main focuses that people have sort of needed from getting, I guess, off the bat is getting the data that they need. So data has obviously been a very key thing. Obviously, prior to starting to trade on the exchange, we have a fantastic market data team on our end, but it's getting that data to be able to understand how the market is trading, understand whether or not strategies and being able to backtest data and see if your strategies and indicators are going to be effective in the US markets has definitely been one thing that I've seen. And the second thing really is making sure you start those conversations with some of the other stakeholders early. So obviously getting the participant agreements to join the exchange. Then you also have relationships with clearing members that can take a little bit of time to get up and running. We have 48 interdealer brokers as well with many different, they have their own central limit order books. They focus on different areas. And I think ultimately navigating all of those components is something that needs to start earlier than later. And I think, again, that's exactly where time to market team come into play, right? Is being able to help your clients navigate what it takes to get on board and up and running at other exchanges as well.
Thank you, Jathan. That is exactly what we do, and then why we're here. Yes. No, so thank you so much for joining us today, Jathan, talking about Nodal and letting our time to market, time to talk audience hear a bit about what you offer and basically how they can already start trading the US markets without being physically present or registered at the ISOs.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem at all. Thank you so much for having me.
And for the audience, if you want to know more about Nodal, reach out to us or directly to Jathan. We're happy to share the contact information, and we can initiate a conversation if you want to get your fingers dirty in the US financial markets. Thank you all.